Are you ready for rapid fire?
Oh, so ready.
You've been waiting all night, baby.
Oh, it's my favorite part of the day. I look forward to this,
Right.
and especially today, I have been looking forward to this.
You needed it, huh?
Woo, baby.
All right. So my screen is what is going on here? Okay, here's what I need to do. That's what I had, this big thing that was blocking my screen where I've got the questions written down. I don't memorize the questions. So
and I still have my my email that I got. I still have that pulled up too if you want to throw that in at some point.
I do have it here.
Okay, cool.
I just got it. I just had to get rid of this thing that was
beautiful.
That was up. So we had I think Salty might have asked something similar to this. I didn't answer it during the first segment because
he did.
It was going to lead off rapid fire.
I started.
If Notre Dame beats Clemson and USC, does it make up for losing to Marshall and Stanford, Vince?
Nope. Not even close. It doesn't. I'm sorry. Would it be great? Would I sleep really well that night? Would I really enjoy the drive home from Clemson? Would I really enjoy Thanksgiving weekend much more if Notre Dame beats USC that weekend? Absolutely. I want to win those games really, really bad. It does not make up for those losses to Marshall and Stanford. It just doesn't. Those losses are worse than the good that you get out of beating Clemson and USC. Yeah. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm a stick in the mud, but it does not make up for it. You cannot lose to Marshall and Stanford and get away with it, essentially.
And the other question that has to come with it is, how many other games are you going to lose? Are you going to lose one of the other games that you're supposed to win?
I mean, Syracuse is going to be ranked. They look good against NC State. Let's see how they look against Clemson. But, I mean, that's not a gimme game. And playing in that dome is not an easy task, even though Notre Dame has done well there in the past. You can't really look at the past with this particular squad.
Here's the only thing, like if you're just looking at it as, well, this win replaces this loss in terms of you thought you were going to win this one, you thought you were going to lose this one, that kind of thing. Like, they could, air quotes, could still get to 9-3.
Sure.
And obviously, if you came into the season, the 3 games you were going to lose versus the 3 game, what you thought you were going to win, they would be different. So the only sort of sheen that you would get off Notre Dame beating Clemson and USC is if you take care of the other 4 games between then.
Sure.
And so then even though not everything has looked horrible, but it sure looks horrible coming off a home loss to a bad Stanford team. At least if you could run the table for 6 games and those 2 be part of your wins, then it at least changes. It definitely changes how you feel about this season, because you still end up 9-3. You beat 2 really good teams at the end of the season.
So you're looking at it as a culmination kind of a thing, like those wins equal 9, and so you're like, okay, 9-3,
right?
And it's a really good point, though, Sean. I didn't mean to cut you off. I apologize.
No, that's okay.
But
you're fine.
It's a really good point, because 5 years from now, if Marcus Freeman is still at Notre Dame and you look back, like, hey, his first year was 9-3, you don't have to get into the weeds about who he lost
to. And because a former co-host and I used to have this conversation about bowl games, do they matter? Do they not matter? And I think it was, what was 2017 when they ended up, they were 9-3 during the regular season. That wasn't Music City, was it? I think that was one of the Florida.
Camping World?
They beat LSU. Yeah, the Camping World, I think, when they beat LSU. And was it the Camping World?
Oh, no, they beat them in the Music City.
But didn't they beat LSU in another bowl as well?
They did. I just don't remember. That was before.
Yeah, because that was the Ian Book, Brandon Wimbush year, right?
Yeah.
Where Book came in. And, so my point is, they went 9-3 in the regular season. Then they won a bowl game. They end up with 10 wins.
Yeah.
And that's what my argument was. Like, you can say that the bowl games don't matter, but when you look back a few years from now at the big picture, you can say double-digit win.
Yeah.
And that's because they finished 9-3 in the regular season and won a bowl game. They've got 5 consecutive years of double-digit wins. And, that is still attainable this season. How feasible it is, I don't know. But, again, so that to me is the only way that winning those games would offset that, because in the big picture, you can at least say, we put some of these, because if you win those games, that means you're improving as a team. And again, as long as you take care of those other games as well,
sure,
you can say, we put some of these issues behind us. We did all these things. we beat Clemson and we beat USC, our biggest rival,
Yeah.
on the road in LA, and then maybe we went on and won a bowl game.
Yeah, you always find a way to look at things differently than me. I like that. Well done, sir. Well done.
I'll take it.
Well played.
Fill in the blank. It's blank that this week's Notre Dame UNLV game will only be televised on the Peacock app.
Appropriate, because I'm not sure anybody really wants to watch it. And so they're probably not going to be downloading Peacock if they don't already have it to watch whatever this is that we're going to watch on Saturday. So I think it's appropriate. I think this is a perfect timing to put the game on stream.
I mean, you're right. The way it turned out. And, I think I was saying when you were gone, it sounds like they're having trouble even trying to get fans in the stands for the game Saturday. And I'm really and I meant to check today, knowing that I had this question coming up, what's NBC going to televise on Sunday? What's so important that you can't? Notre Dame football is your only college product right now. What's so important that you can't televise Notre Dame football on Saturday? And you've got I know they're trying to push app subscriptions and all that stuff, but the Peacock app is not doing that well to begin with. So you're probably right. It's probably fitting the way the season has gone and who the opponent is and everything else. But I'm glad that I'll be at the stadium. I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, 100%. I'm trying to see here. Of course, the internet's running a little slow, but I think I found it here. Let's see. At Premier League goal line, and then figure skating for 3 hours starting at 3:00.
Figure skating instead of Notre Dame football. Okay.
Yep. Figure skating is on the docket for NBC.
All right.
So that's what they lost to. They lost to figure skating.
We watch figure skating in this house when the Olympics come around.
When the Olympics are on, I watch it too.
But
but not on a Saturday in October.
Yeah. Right. Right. All right, let's do a couple of the super chats.
All right.
Guy with a lot of letters in his handle. I have no idea if that's
Rally Q is usually what we go with.
Okay. He says, I really like Freeman. I don't know that he has a strong enough personality to strike any fear to force change. Is there a recipe out there where he can be the carrot and someone else be the stick? Do you watch Better Call Saul, by the way, carrot and stick? I like that.
I mean, Marcus Freeman made a point many times to say, yes, I'm a player's coach. Yes, I can talk to these guys, but they know when I mean business. I mean, he says that, but so far the proof has not been in the pudding. And so, but now he obviously laid into Drew Pine during the Cal game, right? I mean, he knows how to bring it if he has to. I don't know what his demeanor is like at practice these days.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot of things I don't know in order to answer that question. I like to have opposite personalities of mine on my staff when it comes to coaching personality because of that exact thing. And I do it every day at work. I'm a bad cop a lot, and this other guy's a good cop, and it works. I mean, it does work. So there's some validity to that statement, and this is hilarious, by the way.
Figure skating is all about execution. I'm looking, Tommy Guns. I'm looking. He just put in a super chat. And he said, for my comment and question above, I'm trying to figure out which one it is because I don't see really.
Give us just put it back in the chat, my friend.
Yeah, just throw the question.
Tommy, just put it back in and we'll throw it up.
Is it this? Okay, is it this one? Big Dogs, Vince and Sean. Do you guys think the level of coaching in the NCAA has improved, gotten worse, or stayed the same? Thinking in terms of decades or generations.
Wow.
That's a big one.
Well, okay, here's what I will say. I think, and this is nothing against the guys of old, I think football has gotten more intellectual as we move forward into 2022. Guys like Tommy Rees, they didn't really exist, these massive X's and O's guys. I mean, Newt Rockne was an X's and O's guys, and he was an X and O guy because he came up with the shift for the Four Horsemen, right? He wasn't, diagramming all these different pass plays and all of these different things and motions and jets and, all of these different things. I think that is different nowadays than it ever was in the past. Yeah. So I'm not saying guys are smarter. I'm just saying the game has evolved to such a point where you have to be smarter about X's and O's and things of that nature. So I will say that.
A lot more creative. And we
Yeah.
it seemed like, and now, again, it seemed like we kind of went through a span like, Tommy Bowden and Joe Paterno were like the last of the breed. It seemed like coaches didn't last very long anywhere after you had guys like Osborne, who was there, at Nebraska for so long. And some of these other guys, you had coaches, like Bear Bryant, obviously now this goes back, but you had coaches that really successful coaches who really lasted at some places. And it seemed like that kind of went away for a while. But now, I mean, it's like you look at Nick Saban, like, is the guy ever going to leave Alabama? Dabo Swinney, and already as long as he's been at Clemson, and like, Urban Meyer.
I still feel like that's the exception rather than the rule.
Well, but I mean, there's still, I'm trying, like, Urban Meyer could still be at Ohio State.
That's true.
If he hadn't decided to retire. Jim Harbaugh's on the fence all the time. You're probably right. It still might be an exception, but even them, like with the longevity that they have had, we really haven't seen that again, like post Paterno and Bowden, really, until they turned into what they've turned into.
I think
across the board, the point you made, there's definitely a lot more creative football and a lot of really smart football people out there. So I would say probably yes, because, again, like, look at Kansas and Lance Leopold right now. Nobody knew who the guy was a couple of years ago. He'd been coaching Division III football forever, got an opportunity at Buffalo, and now Kansas has a really creative, high-scoring offense, and guys like that can show up kind of out of the blue because there are so many good coaches out there, I think.
And there are a lot of good coaches, and I will give you that. I think the leash has gotten shorter on new coaches, though. If they're not right. It's gotten much shorter, because
I think the average tenure of a head coach is still something like 3.5, 4 years, something like that.
Yeah, right.
They
I think
come in, they come out.
It feels like.
I know. All right, so good questions that we've had here so far, and I think there was one more. Yep, Tyler with a super chat. What gameplay would you like to see against UNLV? What gameplay would you like to see against UNLV, but what game plan do you think Tommy will run?
So what do we want versus what do we think is actually going to happen?
I think so.
Oh, boy. Look, you've got a better roster. You're faster than UNLV. You need to utilize that, right? You need to get Drew Pine back into a game plan that he can be successful with. You need to coach him up this week so that he is not always looking for Michael Mayer. You know what? Give Michael Mayer a couple days off this week. Like, I don't even want Michael Mayer practicing with the first team so that he doesn't have a choice but not to throw to him. Okay? I know that's drastic. I get that. But I don't even want him to be an option during the week. Yes, you need him in games and all of that. I get it. So those are the things that I want to see. I have a hard time predicting what I'm going to see. And I will be optimistic, and I will say that we will see a game plan like we saw second half of Cal, BYU, North Carolina, because we know that it can happen. So I will say that he will do that, and it will be more than enough to beat UNLV.
Yeah. I'll just second that. I want to see less 12, more 21. That's my thing.
I like that, though, because they could be very
dangerous. The running backs have to be involved because you're still not getting any production from the, unless Tobias Merriweather, because, that's the other issue now is Tobias Merriweather makes 141-yard touchdown catch, and now all of a sudden everyone thinks he's going to be getting 10 catches a game.
Right.
It's
Exactly.
not going to go that quickly.
No, it's not.
But that is the next super chat that we've got from Charlie Weiss's Belt Loop. Says, guys, I really like your show. You guys do a good job on the collaboration. Appreciate that, Mr. Weiss's Belt Loop. So when do you guys see Tobias actually playing regularly after 6 losses? Thanks. Go IB and ND. I mean, that's a good question. They brought him out, let him talk to the media last night after he had 1 catch and 2 targets the other day. Is he going to be a more regular part of this? I think at the very least, he's a guy who should be getting about a dozen snaps per game.
At least. Yeah. I mean, what we have seen with him is over the past, I think, 3 games, he's gotten more and more and more playing time. Is it to the extent that we want it to be? I don't think so. But the fact that they let him come out and meet the media, I think is a good sign. I think that's big. And somebody was saying he's not even on the 2 deep. I don't care. Like the 2 deep doesn't mean anything. The 2 deep is useless.
It's like the arrows in the parking lot. It's a suggestion. It's not a
You're one of those
not
people.
A rule.
Okay. Let's see how that is. But like, okay, for example, if somebody goes down on the offensive line at guard, who's going to be the first guard in no matter what side it is? Andrew Kostofik is going to be the first guard in, right? He's going in on the right side. He's going in on the left side. It doesn't even matter, right? But he's only listed as the second guard under one position. Depth charts mean nothing, people. They mean nothing.
Yeah. No, great point. I mean, I think we're going to start to see more of him.
I do too.
Now, again, like regularly, like kind of how loosely you define some of those things. I think at least 10 to 12 plays this week would be a good starting point for him. It would be more than he has played in a game so far. I mean, that would be more than he has played overall so far if he got 10 to 12 plays.
Yeah.
So, here comes another super chat from the Belt Loop. Remember, I said before the season Tobias would have the most TDs and yards as a wide receiver. I feel robbed of what is very possible.
We all feel robbed, Charlie. We all feel robbed, okay? We do. When they put it up to him the first time, I was sitting in between Sean and Brian. I put both my hands out on their shoulders, like, oh, what are we seeing? The internet's about to explode.
I thought Vince and Brian Driscoll were going to jump up and start dancing when he got that pass.
Brian basically did a mic drop when he caught it. He was out.
Like, what is going on around? I know, because you both got up, and I'm like, where's everybody going?
It was funny. It was good.
All right. So let's kind of we'll continue through some of these questions that we've got here. College Football Playoff Expansion Committee is going to meet again Thursday in Dallas. One of the things they're still trying to determine is where the first round playoff games are going to take place when they expand the playoff format to 12 teams. And for those people who haven't come to grips with that yet, it is going to expand to 12 teams. So whether or not you want 8 teams or whatever, it's not going to matter because it's going to 12. They're trying to work out logistics. Now, would you rather the games be played in those first round games, Vince, on campus or at neutral sites?
I personally would like to see them on campus. I think that's one of the things I was very excited about for the expansion of the playoff is that we get to see some games on campus. And I fully support that. I understand the concept of neutral site games, but I think if you're a higher seed, you deserve to play at home one round because with the expanded playoffs, you're playing more games, obviously. You earned a home game. Do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm all for it.
Well, and especially from a Notre Dame perspective, because they're not going to be able to get that first round bye. That is going to be part of this agreement. So if they are 5, 6, 7, or 8, they would get to host a first round playoff game. And so like from Notre Dame's perspective, I think it is imperative, but even bigger picture than that, the fact that you're going to have 4 of those quarterfinal / first round games, travel is going to be an issue. Now, again, like from Notre Dame's standpoint, you get a lot of people traveling in all the time anyway, even for home games, just because of the nature of the alumni base and everything. But some of these state schools, even the fact that, you've got quarterfinals, semifinals, potentially championship to get people to travel to all those games. So I think it's really important that you use the home sites, one, so you can generate more of that college football atmosphere in some of these home games, and 2, so that you're not forcing every single fan base to have to try to travel 3 times if you make it all the way through. I just think it's unrealistic to do that in 3 consecutive weeks, or maybe even if you skip a week there, like between the semifinal and the championship. So I think they need that.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely agree.
All right. More questions that I have queued up here, ready to go. Fill in the blank. It's blank that Amazon is going to begin streaming Black Friday NFL games the day after Thanksgiving starting next year.
I love that. to be honest with you. The more football, the better. So I am a consumer of the football, and I want as much as I can get. And so if that means that they're adding game, because have they had games on Black Friday in the past?
Not NFL. This is going to be the first time ever. This is a big deal because apparently there's been some kind of thing about they're not allowed to televise, the stuff in prime time on that day. But it's going to be a 3:00 in the afternoon game. So
interesting.
Right,
I'm all about
in the middle of your couch time. It's perfect for it.
Because what are we doing on Black Friday? First of all, nobody goes shopping on Black Friday anymore.
Not in my house.
You know what I mean? And so who cares about that? And so what are we looking to do on that Friday? We're looking to watch some football. So I'm all for it. And you know what? A lot of people have Amazon Prime. And obviously it has not hurt the Thursday night games, even though those games have been terrible. But it hasn't hurt them. And so bring it on, man. The more football, the better.
Yeah. Well, Jonathan says it'll be a garbage game, Bears-Lions. Lions will still get Thanksgiving, so I don't think
they're not going to play the day after.
You're probably right about the garbage game, just like all these Thursday night games. Oh, they have been so brutal the last couple of weeks. But I like this as well, because like they've moved stuff around in terms of some of these college games that always used to fall. Like you used to get LSU, Arkansas on Friday for, like on that Black Friday, you don't get that anymore. It's kind of hit or miss. And so I think it's awesome because you're going to get 3 games the day before on Thanksgiving anyway. Then you'll get a game in the middle of the day on Friday, and then you finish off the NFL slate on Sunday. So I love it.
Yes.
Most people are home and it's Amazon. Right. So like you're saying, who's out shopping anymore? It's like a perfect target audience, I think.
I'm telling you.
All right, Vince, we have both been watching the Quantum Leap reboot this year, which is a show about time travel, of course. So my question to you, and I'm curious to see what you came up with on this.
This is tough, man.
If you could bounce back in time, what historical sports figure would you like to be around for a day or two? Would you like to be around for a day or two, like hang out with?
So this is tough because I was thinking more along the lines of Notre Dame. Okay. And so, but my first inclination was I kind of wanted to be at the 1945 Tigers Cubs World Series.
Ooh, okay.
My father-in-law's a Tigers fan. Well, I'll throw him into the Quantum Leap Accelerator with me. We'll go back. I know the Tigers won that series, obviously, but I think it would be cool. You put on the suit with the hats and, you're out there. I think that would be cool. Also, and I know this sounds like a crazy Homer type thing, I would love to hang around with Newt Rockne and just talk about his thoughts on modernizing the game, because that was always his thing, and that's why they built Notre Dame Stadium, because he was always ahead of the game. And Brian loves to talk about when, everybody talks about the tradition of Notre Dame and all these things, and they shouldn't have a Jumbotron and they shouldn't have field turf. But if Newt Rockne was alive, he would have done all of that already, because he was always kind of on the cutting edge of everything.
That's true.
And so I would love to just sit down, chat with him, get on a plane, not a certain plane.
Yeah, I was going to say,
get on a train.
Get on a train with him.
Get on a train with him. But I think that would be fun. I would enjoy that.
He was the one that I thought about too. Like, especially, we live here in South Bend. It would be cool. Like, go back in time when Newt Rockne is here and see what the town looked like back then, and like kind of know what the changes are coming. I mean, there's Newt Rockne Boulevard, or is it Boulevard or Avenue that runs through?
I'm not sure, but
there's Newt
I know
Rockne,
what you're talking about.
The street named after Newt Rockne that cuts through the middle of town. Yeah, I mean, so to be able to do that, to hop on the trains with him, and like the theme behind Quantum Leap is the guy is supposed to jump in and put right what once went wrong. So, like,
don't get on that plane.
You've got Notre Dame. That's right. Don't get on the plane. You've got Notre Dame football on NBC. You've got Quantum Leap is an NBC show. I think that we need a Newt Rockne plot to this whole thing where he goes back and either he jumps into Newt Rockne or George Gipp or somebody, back then. And I think that would be a perfect storyline for that show.
That's not terrible. That's not terrible. I like it. Don't get on the plane.
If I'm not going to take Newt, though, because Newt was my first thought, too. I saw somebody say Babe Ruth, and he was like my second guy. I like
a party.
Like go like, go hang out with Babe Ruth. Maybe even go back all the way to the Boston days when he was still pitching before the
Ooh.
trade, and maybe that's another, quantum leap type storyline, since,
He
they
doesn't get
want to get into
traded.
these sports themes, is like, go back to when Babe was there and the
Mm.
whole, the trade of Babe Ruth for No Nanette, knowing what knowing what that musical became. Like,
Oh.
what if Babe Ruth had been a Boston Red Sox all along? Maybe Quantum Leap puts that right.
Yeah, it's not terrible. It's not terrible, my friend.
Especially based on some of the storylines they've had so far. And that
Yeah.
takes us to our last question of the night. What do you think of what we have seen? What are we, 4 episodes in to the new Quantum Leap right now? What do you think of it?
Okay, so I talked about last week how I liked how they're really diving into more of the stuff behind the scenes that's not going on with the leaping and all of that, right? Because they didn't do that really at all in the original. There was a couple of episodes here and there where they kind of dove into who those people
Right.
were.
It was
stuff like
mostly
that.
just Sam focused.
It was Sam and Al, and that was it. Sometimes Al would like call off stage to somebody or something like that. But I like how there's kind of the whole conspiracy thing going on back there. That's number one that I like. Number two, one thing I do like that they kind of brought into it is that he can leap outside of his own lifetime.
Right.
And I think
Which Sam couldn't do.
Right. And I think that opens up. Obviously, they went to the Wild West this past episode. So it opens up so many more possibilities from a writing standpoint that this could last a couple of seasons as opposed to when they run out of ideas. You know what I mean? And so I do like that end of it. It's growing on me. I mean, I haven't missed an episode yet. It's growing on me. I
felt like
mind
this
it,
week's
but
I felt like this week's episode was kind of the so far.
I feel like, here's what I will say though. I feel like they wasted the going to the Wild West scenario. Like there's so many other things they could have done.
Yeah.
So, but I like that they went to the Wild West.
I think you needed like Wyatt Earp or, like somebody kind of more famous, like if they were going to go back to the Wild West.
Right.
To me, my biggest hang up with the show is still, like last week's show was the one where they tied in Sam. Like you wanted to talk about that last week and we never got to. Like, it turns out Magic, the guy played by Ernie Hudson, one of the Ghostbusters, Sam leaped into him in Vietnam. And I think I remember watching that episode.
Oh, I watched
way back when. And so turns out that years later, Magic has these memories of, like Sam's memories. And, so they kind of tied the past, the old show into the new one. The biggest thing this is missing, though, is like a real lead character. And last week's episode had the guy who played Kevin on This Is Us as a guest star on the show. He should be the lead character in this show. Like when you think about it. And I don't know, like who was in charge of what and casting and all that different stuff, but it's like that's what this show is missing to me. Because like Ernie Hudson is the most famous person in the whole cast. I think that's kind of just lacking that little
punch. Yeah. No, I don't disagree with that.
There's no Scott Bakula on the show.
There is no second Scott Bakula. I mean, they dropped the ball when they did not. But once they figured out they couldn't get him involved, however that went down, they should have been like, hey, we can't do it.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
Now they did. I think you said the last time that we talked about it, there is, as we found out, sort of like the evil presence that's also going to be leaping through time. So we'll have to see where that goes.
We did find that out at the end of the last episode, which is definitely a twist. So there's way more twists, that go on in this version than did in the first version. So I am down with that.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is going to do it for tonight. For those, who said that we owed them time because we started off a couple of minutes late. Again, look at your clock because we ended up going about 90 minutes tonight. So a lot of good stuff, a lot of good questions. As always, appreciate all the input. And I think that's going to do it for tonight.
Fair enough. That was a good show.
All right. Tommy Guns.
He's yelling at you for something.
John! Yes, Tommy Guns. What's up?
What's up? Hi. He's yelling at both of us now.
Vince. All right, that's going to do it. We will talk to you later. We'll be back, of course, tomorrow night to wrap up the week. IB Nation Sports Talk.